This was bad. I can't sugarcoat it. She was wrong, and clearly it's not helpful to Democrats going into the midterms, and certainly not going into 2020.
When does Hillary Clinton ride off into the sunset? I don't want her
not
bashing.
Soon enough, I guess.
What's the answer?
Not soon enough.
The idea that I or other women like me have to ask our husbands how to vote, it's really a joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. Kellyanne Conway, not the only woman speaking out against Hillary Clinton. Even friends of the 2016 Democratic nominee think she went too far by saying married white women face pressure from their husbands to vote a certain way, even their bosses. Joining me now is Fox News contributor Deneen Borelli, political analyst Danielle McLaughlin. Good to see you both. Deneen, please. Now, you need to keep reminding us why you lost.
Yeah, and every day she talks, it is a reminder of why she lost. She has managed, just one person has managed to insult millions of Americans simply because they didn't vote for her, they didn't support her. And if you're a Trump supporter, my goodness, you're weak, you're a racist, you're a misogynist. All of these horrible things. And don't forget deplorables. Don't forget that as well.
Well, we now know the deplorables comment, she meant it. That's exactly, she was speaking her heart right. when she said that. Danielle, to this point, as my mother might say, that lady needs to talk to somebody in terms of her anger. But she now has women in her own party pushing back because she is tarnishing them and tarnishing all women, quite frankly, with this sexist attitude.
This was a huge mistake, and I don't think there's any defending the idea that someone would go out into the world and say that American women vote a certain way because of their husbands or their bosses. And what hurts me, I guess, the most, and people who have supported her, I think for good reason, is that her deeds since she left law school, she's helped women, she's helped children, she's helped families in really demonstrable ways, from law school, being First Lady of Arkansas, making women and children's rights a cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy. But this is a big step backwards, and people remember these kinds of comments, and I think that's really a problematic thing.
But she has an open contempt for Republican women, for women who didn't vote for her. She got 54% of the female vote, which was even less than President Barack Obama did. So 54% of the female vote, she actually, it looks like she despises any woman who wouldn't vote for her and still has no concept of why they didn't.
Yeah, she's supposed to be, she says she's a champion of women, but her actions and her words speak otherwise. She also despises hardworking Americans, Dig. I mean, listen, she has an affinity for the left and the right coast, and she forgets middle America. And I've met people, middle America, hardworking Americans. They love country, they love God, they love their families. All they want to do is work. She is someone who wanted to put coal miners out of work because it's dirty. What they do is dirty. She doesn't approve of that. She didn't want to get them out of business
because it's dirty. She wanted to get them out.
She wanted to get
business renewable energy. And it was another time where she was quoted, and the quote was truncated.
No. I heard her say that. She said, "We're going to put you. We're going to destroy your jobs." I saw that.
Right.
Real quick, Danielle. Again, she can't stop talking. Apparently, she's going to put out a statement or something, maybe a video on Facebook today. Philippe Brain said that on Fox and Friends. What can she possibly say to dig herself out of this hole?
This is going to be really tricky for her. I'm not actually sure. She could try and explain it, but on its face, it was a really problematic comment. I'll be honest with you.
Danielle, Deneen.
Thanks,
You're both great. Thank you so much.
Final point before we go tonight. Why isn't Michelle Obama proud to be an American? As you remember, when Michelle's husband was elected president, Michelle declared that this was the first time she was proud of her country. A shocking admission from anybody, but particularly disturbing coming from the First Lady. Then Michelle told young women like me that if we voted against Hillary Clinton, we voted against our own voices. As if we are too stupid to think for ourselves. As if we, as women, are not allowed to vote for anybody other than a progressive candidate who shares similar genitalia. That is, if we want to retain our woman cards. Where have I heard that before? This is why the American people rejected Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. People are tired of identity politics. But Michelle Obama wants us to live in that dark and divisive world where race is more important than who people are. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't that the definition of racism? Listen to Mrs. Obama.
Usually at the State of the Union address, where, you sit in the balcony and watch the State of the Union.
Like you do.
Yeah, like you do. You see it on TV. I'm in the room. But when you're in the room, what you can see is this real dichotomy. That on one side of the room, it's a feeling of color almost. On one side of the room, it's literally gray and white. Literally, that's the color palette on one side of the room. On the other side of the room, there's yellows and blues and whites and greens. Physically, there's a difference in color, in the tone.
Wow.
Because one side, all men, all white. On the other side, some women, some people of color.
The Republican Party is all men, she says, and all white. That, she says, is why people don't trust politics. What happened to Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream that his children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character? Oh, and by the way, Michelle Obama is just plain wrong. Hilariously wrong, actually. Here's the Republican debate stage from last spring. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina, Bobby Jindal, Latino, African-American, Indian-American, and a woman, a high-powered CEO. And then we have the Democratic debate stage. Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Jim Webb, Martin O'Malley, Lincoln Chafee, white, 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 white. One of these stages is bursting with diversity. The other is staffed with rich, old, white men. Which party do you think Michelle Obama is proud of? That's right, the party of the rich, old, white men, the Democrats. Here's Hillary's pick for vice presidential running mate, a rich, old, white man. Here's the Democrats' leader in the Senate, a rich, old, white man. And here are three high-ranking officials in the Trump administration, a woman, another woman, and a young woman. Michelle Obama, you've reduced yourself to fake news, and that is why people don't trust politics. And that's my...
All right, so the mainstream media's anti-Trump echo chamber, they're at it again, and this time they're trying to take down the president's pick to head the CIA. Her name is Gina Haspel. Now, Haspel is a career intelligence officer who has been praised by colleagues for her very important work after 9/11, and she would be the first woman to serve as the CIA director if confirmed. The mainstream media, liberal Democrats, they seem only interested in smearing the long-serving intelligence official. ProPublica was recently forced to issue a correction on a report accusing Haspel of overseeing the waterboarding and abuse of a detainee being held at a CIA black site, Abu Zubaydah. The New York Times was forced to issue a similar correction. But prior to those retractions, identical stories were echoed on multiple media outlets, including fake news CNN. And that's not all. Some in the media are even denigrating Haspel's achievement as a woman. Vox is calling her selection, quote, not a feminist choice. And the New York Times published an op-ed titled, Gina Haspel's Rise is No Victory for Feminism. Wow. Here with reaction, Fox News national security strategist, former deputy assistant to the president, Sebastian Gorka, and former White House press secretary, Sean Spicer. I can't believe that you have to be a liberal woman, Dr. Gorka. Is that what it is? In order to advance, women's rights, you have to believe in certain fundamental issues, or this does not advance feminism. And then I heard Hillary this week say, oh, the reason I lost is because white women listen to their husbands, to their bosses, and their sons before voting for Donald Trump.
Let's just put to the side for a moment, Sean, Hillary Clinton insulting 30 million American citizens who just happen to be women, and ask a very simple question. What has catching terrorists, undermining the enemies of the United States, and being a professional intelligence officer got to do with feminism? We don't run the intelligence community based upon ideology. That was John Brennan. That was under the Obama administration. We need to know one thing about this woman, and it's clear that she has it, is whether or not she's qualified to be one of the most powerful government officials in the most powerful nation in the world. The only problem with this woman is, Sean, it's very simple. She's a woman who's working for Donald Trump. That's the only problem.
But it's actually worse than that. Sean, we lost 3,000 Americans on 9/11/2001. There was only 3 people waterboarded. But in the case of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, it led to the Courier. The Courier led to bin Laden. Without waterboarding KSM, there is no bin Laden. What part of that do liberals disagree with? We're too tough on terrorists? That's why they don't want her?
Well, I think Dr. Gorka's right on this. If she was working for Barack Obama, they'd call her eminently qualified. And let's look at who is calling her qualified. Leon Panetta, Hayden, Morell, all of these folks that have served at the top echelon of the intelligence community in a bipartisan degree, one administration over the next, all support her because she is eminently qualified with over 30 years experience. But to your point, Sean, here's the thing. If you don't fit the category that liberals think you're in, depending on your race or your gender, then you don't count. So Gina is not qualified to be CIA director because she's not a liberal. You look at what happened yesterday. The left-wing Democratic outfit, American Bridge, assaulted and was arrested, a male staffer for them, attacking a female member of the Trump administration. And did you see any coverage of it today? No. Nothing in the Washington Post, nothing in the New York Times. There was a man arrested for assaulting a female member, and Dr. Gorka is right. Why? Because she works for Donald Trump. If this had been the administration overwards, it would have been leading the evening news today. The hypocrisy and double standard is unbelievable.
Now, I just really, if we look at these times, you have Dr. Gorka. This cannot be emphasized enough. The biggest abuse of power scandal in the history of the country. It's literally sitting right there on a tee for the media. The media, all they care about is Stormy Daniels and Russia-Trump collusion. And after, almost 18 months, we have no evidence. This is all that they cover. And it's amazing that here, with all the evidence we have, Hillary fixes a primary, Hillary has criminal activity that is fixed for her, she purchases lies and a phony Russian dossier to lie to the American people. It's used to obtain a FISA warrant, and of course they don't tell the FISA judge that Hillary bought and paid for it, so we can spy on an opposition party candidate and campaign. How about covering real news for once?
Well, look, that's not their job. These are propagandists. And if you look at the FISA-gate scandal, what we have is Hillary Clinton and the DNC affecting a successful Russian operation because that file was full of Russian misinformation. That's the enormity of what we're talking about. These people aren't interested in the truth. This is perhaps the biggest scandal that we've seen in a political election since 1776. And let's just remember one thing, Sean. If she'd won, we wouldn't know any of it. None of it. Not FISA-gate, not Uranium One. It would all have been covered up. And that's the scary thing.
All right. Sean Spicer.
Well, I think you're missing.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you got more great economic news today. If it wasn't for the president tweeting it out to his followers, we wouldn't know about it. They're more worried about whether one staffer could or should be fired by the end of the week, whether there could be a mix-up. There's more time spent confirming whether or not somebody's actually in the office today. The White House pool sent out a report today that they cited H.R. McMaster, the National Security Advisor. Meantime, the economy continues to hum along, and people are living better lives in this country.
All right, unbelievable. And I don't know.